Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our 2:30 streaming show. I'm Jamie French. We have a couple of headlines to bring you today. First, we're going to start in Muhlenberg County. Central City Fire Department officials say drivers not to be alarmed when you see maybe one of their ambulances parked on the side of the road with the lights on. Drivers may also see squad vehicles parked on the side of the roadway with their lights on. Officials in Central City say the reason for this is because their ambulances are having a really hard time making it to the majority of their houses after receiving emergency calls. We've been telling you the road conditions are just bad out there, folks. They say several ambulances have been stuck while attempting to reach patients. So crews say they are using their 1-ton pickup squad vehicles to reach those residents before transporting the patients to the ambulance. So they're kind of waiting there on the main roadways. If you see this on the side of the road, just make sure you're giving crews plenty of space to safely transfer their patients. Watch for any crews that might be stopped in the roadway. Of course, those road conditions are just quite rough out there. So they're hoping to kind of alleviate some struggles there of getting stuck so they can make it to their patients who are in an emergency. And now another story to bring you, weather related, of course, the elements really impacting everyone. This one out of DuBois County. DNR crews had to rescue 5 duck hunters who were trapped in a boat on the White River. This was near Hayesville. Crews say with the bitter cold and the snow, part of the river nearly froze from bank to bank. They had to use an airboat to get to those stranded hunters, and they brought them to shore safely, so everyone's all right, but certainly a scary situation there. Now, one quick story before we go here. Just want to continue to remind you, with the snow now out of the tri-state, we're really shifting our focus to the bitter cold that's going to be sticking around for a while. So this means our list of school and business closures will only continue to grow. So if you didn't know about this tool, now you can go to 14news.com. We have this full closings tab here, and all the people in the schools and the churches and the businesses that have a closure they want to announce, they reach out to us and they put those here. Many tri-state schools have already announced that they're going to be closed tomorrow. You can always see those scrolling at the bottom of your screen on WFIE. Or, of course, you can check that list like I'm showing you here on 14news.com. All right, that will wrap things up for me on my end. We are going to have a lot of stories still covering the weather tonight on 14 News, but let's get you to probably the main person you want to hear from. Y'all know it's bitter cold out there, so meteorologist Arden Gregory will be right back with a check at your forecast. Don't go anywhere.
Stay informed on your local news and weather throughout the day by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows. At 8:30 a.m., get your First Alert forecast to plan the day ahead and catch up on the news that happened overnight with the 14 News Sunrise team. In the afternoon, get the latest headlines, forecasts, and a preview of the stories we're working on with the 14 First Alert streaming show at 2:30. And get an in-depth look at the 14 First Alert forecast so you're ready for the next big thing with the 14 First Alert weather show at 9 p.m. Watch the 14 First Alert streaming show that fits your schedule and works best for you. Streaming on your phone by downloading the 14 News app and the 14 First Alert weather app. On your smart TV by using the 14 News streaming app. And stream anytime on Facebook, YouTube, or on 14news.com. Stay connected and stay informed by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows on your favorite streaming devices.
My goodness. I'm so sorry. I just now saw your comments that you couldn't hear me this whole time. I'm so sorry. I just glanced down at the comments. You know what? Let's run it back. I'm going to restart from the beginning since apparently you just missed everything I just said. Okay. My bad. I forgot to turn my mic on. I never do that. I feel so bad about that. Okay. Let's start once again. Now that you've all had a good long time to look at this, let's start more with my explanation of what we're looking at here, which is snow totals from across the tri-state. These are the reports we've received. So as we thought might happen, the sleet and even a little bit of freezing rain really cut into the snow totals in western Kentucky. So much of western Kentucky ended up with 4 to 6 inches of snow, but then it sharply increases as you head to the north. There is an area kind of right along the river where you see this increase, where we go from 4 to 6 inches across much of western Kentucky to then 6 to 10 inches as you get up toward Henderson and then areas north of there. And then in parts of southeast Illinois and southwest Indiana, we ended up with 10 to 14 inches of snow, especially as you get up around and north of I-64 there. So the official total in Evansville, which is what I was talking about when I realized no one could hear me, was 12.5 inches of snow. So we had 4.5 inches of snow on Saturday and then 8 inches of snow on Sunday. Both of those were single day snowfall records for their dates. So that was record snow for January 24th and record snow for January 25th with 4.5 and 8 inches. Then combined, it was 12.5 inches total the whole weekend. And so that's the official number that's going to go in the record books in the almanac for Evansville's official snow total is 12.5 inches. But like I said, as you go south into Kentucky, you see kind of a sharp drop off in those snow totals as you guys got a lot more sleet and even freezing rain, especially into Muhlenberg County there. So that did cut into your snow totals. One thing that we remain on alert for is hazardous travel. There's still a lot of snow on the roads. The road crews have been putting in the work. Things have gotten a lot better, especially on the main roads, but a lot of the on-ramps and off-ramps, side roads, back roads, subdivisions, neighborhoods, parking lots are still completely covered in several inches of snow. So I would really encourage you that if you don't have to get out, just continue to stay home, give them a little more time to work on those roads. But if your road is one that maybe doesn't get treated, if they're never coming for you, you may want to talk to your neighbors, see if anybody has any kind of farm equipment or something they could use to help move some of that snow, because it's going to be with us for a while. If you're going to just wait it out and let it melt, that's going to take quite a time, because we also are on alert, not just for dangerous travel, but for dangerous cold now all the way through Saturday. This entire week is going to be brutally cold. Now, some days will be worse than others, but it is going to be dangerously cold, especially overnight and into the early morning hours for much of this week. Here's a live look at the Twin Bridges. I know our camera is a little foggy there. We've got some grime or something on our camera, so it can be difficult to see. But if you look closely there, you can see pavement now on the Twin Bridges. The road crews have done a great job of getting those clear. But again, it's a matter of, can you get that far? Can you make it down your driveway? Can you make it out of your neighborhood? Can you make it on the roads that get you from your neighborhood to 41? So that's where you get hung up a little bit there. This is a look at the intersection of I-69 and the Lloyd. You can see these black stripes here where we've got at least one lane of pretty clear pavement going on the Lloyd now. But if you look at the on-ramps and off-ramps, some of those still a little bit dicey. They've been passed through maybe once, but still not truly clear. So again, it really depends on what road you're on, how many times the road crews have passed through it. I know I had a really hard time getting out of my neighborhood this morning, and I have a four-wheel drive vehicle, but then once I got to 41, it was smooth sailing all the way up to the Indiana border. So it really just depends. The good news is we're done with the snow and the ice, right? It's all pushed out of here yesterday afternoon. We are dry and even sunny across the tri-state. As I just showed you in those live pictures, we've got clear blue skies overhead, but that sunshine is not doing much to warm us up. It is still brutally cold out there. Temperatures ranging anywhere from the upper single digits. We've got 9 degrees in Evansville and Owensboro. Most of us breaking into the low teens, landing somewhere between 10 and 14 degrees right now. As cold as that is, it feels even colder. For many of us, our wind chills are still below 0. Evansville with a wind chill of 5 below, along with Henderson. Owensboro feeling like -6. So it's very cold out there. Our wind chills will remain below 0 basically through the rest of this afternoon and evening. Then overnight, they could get as low as 10 to 15 or even 20 degrees below 0 in some locations. That does put us in the danger zone where really, if you're going to be outdoors for any amount of time, you really need to bundle up. You can get frostbite very quickly in these kinds of temperatures. So cover all exposed skin, hat, gloves, scarf, or face mask, something to protect your face. It's very, very cold out there, and it's going to stay cold for much of this week. Overnight tonight, our actual temperatures will get down to around 0 with those wind chills as low as 10 to 20 degrees below 0 possible because we will have a pretty good breeze coming from the west-southwest. Now tomorrow, that southwesterly wind will actually help warm us up a bit. Our temperatures will climb into the mid-20s tomorrow after being in the teens for 3 days straight. That sounds almost balmy. And our wind chills will get up into the positives again. We're talking about a wind chill of 15 to 20 degrees, which under normal circumstances will sound pretty chilly, but after the extreme cold that we've had here recently, that really doesn't sound too bad. Now Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, our lows will dip back down to near or maybe even below 0. I've gone with a forecast of 2 below for our actual temperature Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So even a gentle breeze would obviously push that down to 5 or maybe even 10 below 0. We do warm up some during the day. Wednesday night, temperatures will be in the single digits, but I think the wind will be calm, so not worried about a wind chill there. So Wednesday night into Thursday, still cold, but not as cold. Then Thursday night and into the start of the weekend, we see our temperatures dipping again. Thursday night and Friday morning, lows in the single digits, but it will be breezier. So again, we're talking about wind chills 5 to 10 degrees below 0 at that point. Highs only in the teens Friday and Saturday. Again, we're talking about lows in the single digits to maybe even near 0 through Saturday night, with wind chills both Friday morning and Saturday morning likely dipping below 0. So bitterly cold again through the weekend. And then we start to gradually warm up some as we get into early next week. But still, this red line way at the top of the graphic, that's our normal high for this time of year. This is our normal low, which is closer to where our highs are running this week. So even when we start to gradually warm up as we get into early next week, we're still talking about temperatures well below average for our part of the country this time of year. So I would really encourage you to keep the 3 P's of cold safety in mind as we go through this week. Please check on your people. That's the first P, especially if you have friends and neighbors who are elderly and live alone. Check on that person. Make sure they're doing okay. Make sure they have what they need. They're probably unable to get out right now, so make sure they have what they need. Make sure their heat is working, that their pipes haven't burst, things like that. Just check on them and make sure that they're doing okay. The second P is pets. At this point, your pets, I hope, are already indoors. We've got a lot of snow on the ground, and we had wind chills 20 below this morning. So hopefully your pets are already safely inside. But even when you let them out some over the next few days, don't let them outside for very long. Keep them indoors whenever possible. And if you do have animals that can't be brought inside, I know sometimes that's the case, at least make sure they have warm shelter and fresh water. Their water is going to freeze so quickly. I mean, we just talked about the rivers are freezing over. So your little water bowl is certainly going to freeze. So please make sure that you're refreshing that frequently. And then, oh, okay, I thought maybe I was having mic problems again. Then finally, check on your pipes. We did have, some temperatures well below freezing here recently. We've been down into the teens and single digits for a couple days now. So please just make sure that you're maybe running a slight trickle of water or opening the cabinets under your sink to let the heat from your home get into those pipes. Hopefully, as long as your home and everything is well insulated, you shouldn't have major issues with this, but it's always a possibility when it gets this cold. So those are the 3 P's. Check on your people, your pets, and your pipes. We are on alert for this dangerous cold all the way through Saturday. Again, look at these temperatures, lows, single digits or even below 0 every single night the rest of this week, highs only reaching the teens and 20s. So when you factor in a little bit of a breeze, we're talking about brutal cold for much of this week, which also means that snow, again, is going to take its time melting. Even with sunshine out there today, it's still only in the teens. That sun can only do so much. That snow is definitely still out there. As we get into early next week, we see a bit of a warm up, but looking at the extended outlook, it still shows temperatures running below average as we get into next week. The extended outlook also shows a risk of still much below normal temperatures into Monday and Tuesday of next week. So we will start to gradually see some relief, but at least through the start of next week, Monday, Tuesday, it still seems temperatures will be running much below normal, maybe even below freezing through at least Monday, if not Tuesday of next week. And then our precipitation outlook showing below average precipitation. So it is going to be very, very cold through the next 5 days or so. Even as we get into early next week, it'll probably be at least Monday, if not Tuesday of next week, before we see our temperatures getting above freezing. And but the good news is, even though it's going to be cold, it does look like it's going to be dry. So even though it is going to be very cold the next few days and into the start of next week, it seems we may end up staying dry this whole week and even into next week. We just don't have any additional storm systems that seem to be coming down the pipe. As somebody is asking, when is the last time the river froze? I honestly don't know. I'd have to go look that up. It's not frozen solid. It's not like, there are those historic, black and white photos of when people walked across the Ohio River. It's not frozen like that. Nobody's walking across the river. But we are seeing little patches of ice, little bits of ice, especially around the edges there, around the banks, and some of them are breaking off. So people who are out boating on barges and things like that have reported that there are bits of ice. There are bits of ice floating in the Ohio River, and some of those smaller rivers like the White River are actually freezing enough that boats are getting stuck. So it is dangerously cold out there. I also saw somebody asked how much snow one place got. For those of you who missed the very, very beginning, this is the snowfall map. I also have this posted on my Facebook page if you want to take a closer look at it. But that person was asking about Newburgh. Newburgh, we had a report of 9 inches of snow in Newburgh. So we had a report of about 7 in Henderson, less as you go through the county there, closer to 5.5 for most of Owensboro. The official total in Evansville at the airport was 12.5 inches, so a little more than a foot in Evansville. So I hope that answers your question. All right, if there are no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm glad we got the audio worked out by the end of this. Again, sorry about that, but be prepared. Remember, people, pets, and pipes, and bundle up if you have to go outside, because it is going to be brutally cold this whole week. And that also means that any untreated roads will likely remain slick and snow covered through this entire week. So please be careful if and when you do eventually have to get out. The hardest part of the whole thing may be just getting out of your own driveway and out of your own neighborhood. The main roads are improving by the hour. The crews are out working to clear those, but those back roads, side roads, subdivisions, and things like that, those are going to take a lot more time, those areas that don't get a lot of attention. So you may have trouble getting out of your own home, but once you get to the main roads, conditions are improving. But be very, very careful, as that, first mile of your journey might be the hardest one, all right? And hopefully everybody caught their snow totals in that map I just showed. If not, again, it is posted over on my Facebook page, so you can look at it there. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great rest of your day.